What if I told you there's a decent chance you have free money just floating out there, waiting for you to claim it? Well, grab a seat, because today we're diving straight into this explainer to figure out exactly how you might have unexpected funds stashed away in the North Star State. We're going on a digital treasure hunt, and honestly, it could pay off in a really big way. So picture this. What if you had hundreds, or hey, maybe even thousands of dollars waiting for you right now, and you literally had no idea? Think back for a second. Maybe you've got a forgotten final paycheck from some random high school job, or an old utility deposit from an apartment you rented a decade ago. It could even be a life insurance policy from a distant relative. Just imagine the pure relief and financial surprise of tapping into wealth that is already rightfully yours. And to put this into perspective, the sheer scale of this is absolutely staggering. The Minnesota Department of Commerce is currently sitting on over $1 billion in unclaimed property. $1 billion, with a B. We are talking about millions of individual properties just chilling in the state's custody, waiting to be reunited with their rightful owners.
So here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. Minnesota's billion-dollar secret. Step 1, search strategies. Step 2, filing claims. Step 3, state verification. Step 4, receiving funds. And finally, take action today.
All right, let's kick things off with Part 1, Minnesota's billion-dollar secret. So how does this actually happen? Unclaimed property basically occurs when a business loses track of you. Maybe you moved across town, changed your last name after getting married, or you simply just forgot you even had a certain account. Well, by law, businesses can't just keep that money for themselves. After what's called a dormancy period, which is usually 1 to 5 years of absolute zero contact, they are legally required to turn those funds over to the state for safekeeping.
Now, to be clear, we aren't talking about abandoned real estate or cars here. We're looking at everyday financial items. We're talking dormant checking accounts, uncashed paychecks, which, by the way, actually have a super short 1-year dormancy period before they're handed over, insurance payouts, utility deposits, or even the contents of an old safe deposit box. And since Minnesota is a huge corporate hub, a massive chunk of this is literally just uncashed payroll and pension checks.
Okay, I need to pause here because combating a major misconception is crucial. You might have seen sketchy ads or gotten letters from third-party companies offering to find your lost money for a percentage cut. Please hear me on this. Retrieving your money is completely free through the state's secure portal. The Minnesota Department of Commerce does not charge you a dime for this service. So, for sure, beware of any scams asking for an upfront fee. It's your money. Don't pay to get it back.
All right, before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the portal, here's the 4-step game plan for our treasure hunt. Research and search, file a claim, state verification, and receive funds.
Let's move right into Step 1, search strategies.
Okay, here's an insider secret for you. Don't just type in your current name and call it a day. You've got to think like a pro here. The database records show exactly what the original business reported. If they totally misspelled your name back in 2012, well, that misspelling is exactly what's sitting in the database. So search for maiden names, hyphenated combinations, or common Scandinavian spelling variations if that applies to you. Look up your old apartment addresses. You can even search the names of former Twin Cities Fortune 500 employers or large medical organizations like the Mayo Clinic, just to see if a check went missing somewhere along the line.
Awesome, so you found a match. Let's look at Step 2, filing claims.
The online workflow is honestly pretty simple. It's kind of like online shopping. You start by adding these lost properties to a virtual cart. Next, you define your relationship to the money, like are you claiming this for yourself, as an heir for a relative, or maybe as a corporate officer. Then you'll securely punch in your demographic data, your full name, phone number, and social security number, which they need for identity and tax purposes. Finally, you just validate your current physical street address through an automated pop-up. They need to know exactly where to mail your check, right?
After you submit that initial form, you'll get a claim ID. You're going to use this ID along with your registered email to securely upload some supporting documents. This just proves you are who you say you are. You'll typically need a government-issued photo ID, proof of your SSN, and some proof of association, like maybe an old utility bill that ties you to the address on the lost account. If it's inherited property, be ready to upload a death certificate and proof of heirship or will. And definitely make sure these documents are clear, readable, and completely unaltered.
Moving on to Step 3, state verification.
Now, here's where you need a little bit of patience, because the state holds this money in trust indefinitely, meaning there is literally no deadline to claim and absolutely no statute of limitations. They take their time to do this right. They take fraud prevention very, very seriously. So real humans will systematically review your identity and ownership documents before approving any release of funds. This secure environment ensures the money actually goes to you and not some scammer halfway across the globe.
And now, the best part. Step 4, receiving funds.
Once you're officially approved, the state cuts you a physical check. It's super important to note that they don't do direct deposits for this. They actually mail a paper check directly to the address you validated during the portal setup. And just like that, a totally forgotten, abandoned asset turns into a very real financial surprise sitting right there in your mailbox.
Let's wrap this up with part 6. Take action today. Look, don't just keep this to yourself. Take a few extra minutes today to run a quick search for your parents, your grandparents, your siblings. Remember to try out those maiden names and old addresses for them too. It is such a great way to look out for your family because, like we just talked about, those funds will just sit there collecting dust in the state's custody indefinitely until someone steps up and claims them.
Now, as always, please keep in mind that regulations and portal procedures can occasionally change, so consider this explainer a really helpful starting point rather than official legal advice as you kick off your own personal treasure hunt. Always verify current steps directly with the Minnesota Department of Commerce. All right, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. With over $1 billion just sitting there, how much of that massive pie actually belongs to you and your family, just waiting to be found? Go find out.